Well, good morning and welcome to the Underhood Show. My name is Josh Profit. Alongside me this morning is Scotty Gurman. Good morning, Scotty.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing really good this morning. So, hey, welcome to the Underhood Show. That is a call-in show, 316-462-3673. Let's talk about anything automotive, anything going on with your vehicle you want to talk about, check engine light, maintenance intervals, new products, MH Ford Racing, whatever the conversation might be. Pick up the phone, give us a call, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us. For each and every caller that calls into the show, we got a great prize package for you, and we'll mail it out to you. But it consists of the works, which is an oil change, tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Hambelton Ford. While we're completing that, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components on that vehicle, just making sure that it's ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us. You get complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer for your vehicle. And then BG Products Package, which is going to consist of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then a can of CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673. So good morning, Scotty.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Got a comment already from Jason Cox. Says, morning, gentlemen. So good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us this morning on the chat side of things. So got a list of things that we wanted to talk about today, and in regards to maintenance intervals or service on vehicles. Phil couldn't be with us today. He's at they had a double header race up in Hayes, and so the 3J team is up there. Maybe a little bit later we'll get a phone call from him on a status update. Looked like they had a pretty strong finish last night. Made it to the feature and got second out of the feature, so I think they were pretty jazzed with their finish up there, and so hopefully tonight they can get a strong finish up there as well. So race season is definitely starting to wind down. As we were talking a little bit before the show started, somebody wanted to look up the temperature for the next week and see kind of where that was headed. And I'm afraid to say it that summer is definitely starting to wind down for sure.
It's October, man.
It is October 1st. I woke up this morning and thinking, God, I cannot believe it's October already.
It's nuts. This whole year has just flown by so quickly, but I feel like the summer was just long and hot. It was so hot. And now it's starting to kind of wind down, and we looked ahead, and especially when you're talking about automotive needs and things like that, whenever the weather changes, it starts to do a lot of other things to your vehicle as well. And so whenever we're starting to get into where it's going to start getting cold and things like that, there's a lot of things that you need to kind of keep your eyes peeled for.
We're not gonna talk about cold yet.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, cool. I'll accept cool. I will not accept cold. Okay.
That's fair.
Not gonna go there yet. So it is starting to be that time of year season for sure, and it's start thinking about the months coming ahead and kind of where we're headed. When you think their typical service is 5,000 miles intervals or 5 months, well, where does 5 months put you down the road?
That puts you in cold, Josh.
Yeah. And so that's something that we really do focus on, each and every time that we get a vehicle in for service is that next 5,000 miles of driving. And you think about 5,000 miles of driving or 5 months time and where that is and what weather conditions that now put you in and stuff like that. And so this time of the year, tires is a big thing.
Tires are huge.
Right. Right now you get out of summer, and because you are 5 months from now,
Exactly. Yeah.
you're in the season, you're in the snow, you're in the ice, things like that. And so tires are a huge thing. And what I love about what we have to offer on tires is just the enormous selection.
Oh, yeah.
With Ford's buying power and the availability of tires that we have for for our consumers,
for everything, for every
there.
kind of vehicle, every year, make, model. We try to keep in stock so many options for our customers, and that's, in my opinion, that's probably number one. When it comes to it's getting ready to get cool or cold, you're going to have weather conditions and driving conditions that aren't going to be aren't going to be perfect. So you're going to want to be safe, keep your family safe out there, and that's why we have so many great tools. Our drive, measures the tread right when you drive over it, and that's very important when maybe you're at 4 to 30 seconds and it's getting ready to get icy and cold and stuff like that. Maybe you don't want to have that depth of tread. Maybe you want to get into something new just to be a little bit safer and have better traction in ice and snow. And then the other thing is checking tire pressures. Whenever the temperature drops and you don't have pure nitrogen in your tires, you're going to get a tire light whenever that temperature drops. So that's another thing.
Kind of another, or a couple of different topics there for sure on the nitrogen side of things. So first of all, I wanted to talk about tires or general for the consumer. I think the old analogy is that you take Lincoln or a penny, and if you can see Lincoln's head, then you need tires. In my mind, we're already past that.
Yeah, you're past that
point for sure, just from a safety standard or a safety standpoint. But in the number of used cars that we see rolling in and out of here, and we were talking previous to the show, the tenure that you have in the industry,
yeah,
and what you've seen over the years. You had a little bit of independent experience previous to coming to the dealer side of it as well. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that, and then just and I know that was looking back now, it was many moons ago, but
I've been here for 10 years, so
on that side of things. But what you had available to you tools wise at an independent, and then also just the product that you had available to you in independent versus the dealership environment and the dealership, what the dealership has to offer.
It is such a night and day difference compared to what we have here. It being in an independent shop, you have a lot more challenges of trying to help customers just with the equipment that you use to mount the tires on the wheel, balance the tires correctly, things like that. That we have our road force balance machines here, which are so much more accurate, safer, things like that. It is a total night and day difference compared to where I came from to where I'm at now. And I love the fact that we try to offer as many options that we do. We have so many more options to provide. Even if we don't have it, we have the ability to get whatever somebody's wanting. So that's very important. But yeah, it's totally a night and day difference.
For me, just I've had the opportunity to visit Pitt State here. Time's kind of flown here, but it was a couple of weeks ago, and to their automotive program down there. And one of the things that I always talk about or discuss with these young individuals that are looking into this industry as a potential career choice, and it is a great career path. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can go with it. And just like every other industry, I'm sure there's positive experiences and there's negative experiences, and trying to help these younger individuals through this career path, or looking at all the options ahead of time, and not get into a place 6 months, a year, a year and a half, and decide, this isn't really what I want to do, or not getting the full benefits out of what the experience could be. And so there's basically, I call them warning signs that I'm trying to coach or make these people think of as they're getting into the industry, so that they don't get 3 or 4 years down the road and in a career, a job that they don't like, and it's not necessarily the job's fault. It's just maybe where they're performing that job.
Yeah,
because
it's true.
because you got to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
Going to work, you got to be happy. And so I always challenge people to look at independents versus dealers and kind of some of the differences on that as a career side, but then also as a consumer, I do the same thing.
Same, yeah,
Because
I do too.
there's a huge difference between what an independent has to offer versus what a dealership can offer somebody. And when I think of tires specifically, just the volume of tires that we have to offer. With Ford's buying power, there's 17 different manufacturers that are available to us to provide to our customers on for their vehicle. And we do a lot of used car reconditioning.
Yes.
And I've seen used cars come in with tires on it that, like, why is that tire on that vehicle? And I know what it was. I know they went to somewhere.
Yep.
And they
went to
needed
Bob's
tires,
and they needed tires. Yeah.
And that's what Bob had to offer.
That's right.
Was this set of tires. But there's so many different specifications that go into tires for each individual vehicle that change the ride characteristic,
big time
handling characteristics, the noise level or audible noise level, the fuel economy. There's I can think of one situation that we got in 2 years ago, and it was on a Prius. And whoever buys a Prius, they buy it because of the fuel efficiency.
Right.
Like that's the purpose of that vehicle. And a customer purchased tires for that vehicle, and they purchased the tires based on a very low selection that was offered to them, and then also like a kind of like a budget side of things, and it almost cut the fuel economy in half in that thing. On that vehicle.
Yeah.
And just for a tire, but you think about it, what's the weight of the tire? What's the rolling resistance of the tire? Like,
what's the speed rating?
Speed rating with a tread patch of it, or how much the contact patch, how much contact of that tire is touching the ground. And all those are things that affect. It's a cause and effect deal.
And we just had one. It's probably been 2 weeks, but we had a situation to where somebody was needing tires for an all-wheel drive vehicle, went someplace and could only afford 2 tires, and the only 2 tires that they had was not the exact same size of what they needed. And to which point it was such a difference that it actually ended up making another part of their vehicle overheat, causing more damage. So little things like that put that customer in a situation to where now it's going to be more expensive than just tires at that point, just because of selection, incorrect size, and a tire that's not meant for that vehicle. So it's a big deal.
And we went from really just needing 4 tires to now we need 4 tires. We still need the same 4 tires that we needed a little bit ago, but then now we've overheated the transfer case components or the all-wheel drive components of the vehicle, and we got to look into that and see what that entails too. And so that's a knowledge standpoint. The other things that I think of is, okay, overall selection and availability, but then just our inventory of what we have in stock. We stock a lot of tires.
Our warehouse is pretty big.
Yeah. We do stock a lot of tires, and that's again so that we can have that selection for our customers and for our needs on the used car side of things as well. And so just having the inventory on site saves time.
Absolutely.
When you bring your vehicle in here and we have the tires right there to put on it and ready to go, that's a time savings. Sure.
I mean, any more people want to, like order things off of Amazon, and I maybe I'm old fashioned, but I want to go and put my hands on what I'm buying, and the ability to go, especially with tires. I know people order them online, and we do too, but the ability to have a customer just come in and say, "Hey, I'm needing a set of tires. Do you have these?" And we end up stocking, as well, 2 full sets of them. So that's always nice to be.
So I can go a little bit further on tires. Okay, now we've got the right load rating, we've got the right speed rating, and it's going to handle the tread design is proper for what the vehicle is on that side of things. But then as we're checking these vehicles in, like, what are we doing?
Just on the check-in,
Yeah.
we're also checking the alignment. That's another big thing. Our service drive has cameras and alignment check machines by Hunter that will actually do a quick check on your alignment to make sure that the tires are going to wear properly or are wearing properly at that time. And that's very important. I mean, I had a situation just a couple of days ago where a customer came in for an alignment, and just by asking the questions that I know to ask, it ended up actually not being an alignment that they need. I have so many people come in and say, "Yeah, I've got to get an alignment because I've got a vibration at 60." And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Let's take a look at your tires and actually see what the problem is. And it turns out it was something completely different. But those things that we check as an advisor, as a technician, all of those things, we're basically just doing our job to try and help you and make sure your money goes in the right direction as well.
Well, and on the money in the right direction is huge.
Yeah.
Have the conversation on a routine basis with the technicians and the advisors as well, as on both ends of that spectrum. Is one, we're here to do a thorough multi-point inspection on every vehicle every time.
Yep.
And that goes both ways. So it's not something that's just glanced over, or you do it this time one time, this time the next time. It's consistent. We want to do it the same time, same way every time, and be able to get accurate results on it, because it is the consumer's choice to what they want to do. You don't have to fix whatever we say your vehicle needs, but I want you to know what your vehicle needs.
Right.
And then also being able to break that down for a consumer and let them know, hey, this is something probably needs to get, this needs some pretty immediate attention.
Yep.
This item here, that's something that in the future we need to look at. And then this item here is literally just a maintenance item that, if you want your vehicle to go many, many miles, let's get that deal taken care of too. Now, on that maintenance item, if you don't get it taken care of at some point, eventually it's a cause and effect again,
right,
just like everything else. And it's going to cost you more money in the long run if you don't get it taken care of or squared away. But again, it's all the consumers, that it's their option, their choice.
Yeah.
But being able to have, a buddy in the industry that can help identify what those needs are as far as the immediate down the road, and then maintenance side of things. That's where that's where the transparency comes in.
Absolutely. Big thing with us is integrity, and a lot of times you'll have advisors, we call it show and tell, which we're not just going to present you a report, which you were discussing, the immediate needs, the maintenance items and things we need to keep an eye on in the future. But definitely as an advisor, you want the opportunity, if you can, to not only tell a customer about something, but be able to show them, show them what you're seeing, so that way the customer is well aware of what's going on as well. And that's important thing for me, if I can.
Well, so what's one of the things we do to help with that?
The cool thing with, especially down here at the main dealership, whenever your vehicle's in the shop, we actually have a video inspection, which basically checks the tires, batteries, and brakes, and other things while we're inspecting the vehicle, doing the multi-point inspection, which is it's actually a video that when we do that multi-point inspection, it's actually the technician doing that, and we send that to your cell phone even if you're not at the dealership. So it's almost as if you're there. So that's a very, like I said, a very important thing for me, because it's also easier for somebody who's not in the automotive industry to be able to see and understand what we're talking about. And it's a heck of a tool, man. That's probably my favorite thing at doing my job, because it's such a help.
It really closes that gap, or bridges that gap from a technician to an actual consumer. But then also, just hearing words or somebody say something, sometimes it's hard to understand.
Oh yeah.
But when you see a visual of it, of, hey, this is what I found, this is what's going on, or this is why I recommended this, it makes it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
From that side. And then from the other side of it, is that if consumers are here waiting, we love doing show and tell. Ask questions. If you don't understand, I want you to have a clear understanding of what it is that we're trying to do. And again, trying to explain things sometimes, especially with all the acronyms in the industry,
big
and
time.
all the different verbiages that, as being in this industry, you get callous to, or you just kind of know what's going on. But then when you're not from the industry and you're trying to explain it to somebody, it can be hard. And that's why hey, come back here, take a look at this, and then point at it, and it definitely can clear it up.
You got a TPMS fault, you've got an APIM that's not reading, and you got a customer go, what the heck are you talking about? No, it's a lot easier to be able to show somebody something, and it's it makes it not so much of a foreign language. It's a little bit easier to work with.
Hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us, and let's talk anything automotive. Phil's not here. Let's give something away.
Okay, you want to give something away?
Let's give something away. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to give away the normal package for the call-in. So that's going to be the works, oil change, tire rotation, the multi-point inspection, the nitrogen for the tires, the $10 to Mel's Diner, and then the BG products package. But in addition to that, we're going to give something away.
Okay, what we got?
Let's give, I was trying to think about what to give away. I think let's give an additional $50.
Okay.
So $50, and you can use it, spend it however you want.
Parts department, service department,
okay. Service department, wherever you want to, however you want to use it. So let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. So it's about $130 package on the first part of it, and then we're going to throw in an additional $50 to use. Maybe you need cabin
air filter.
Cabin air filter. There you go.
That was a big one that I wanted to discuss, especially with
fall.
Yeah, there it is.
With fall.
There it is. You've got a lot of people that park in their driveways that have trees and leaves and stuff like that. Well, that eventually does get into the cabin air filter, and I've seen some cabin air filters get clogged.
Yeah. Let's talk about a cabin air filter. Yeah. Because you and I know what a cabin air filter is,
right?
And again, we just say the words.
That's true.
Assuming that the consumer knows what a cabin air filter is, or where it's at, or what it does. So first of all, not even every vehicle has a cabin air filter.
Correct.
It is becoming something that is more and more common, in the sense that a lot more manufacturers are, putting them in. Years ago, it was really hit and miss on what did and what didn't. But essentially, it's just like your filter in your heating and ventilation at home, that it's filtering the air entering into the cabin of the vehicle. So it's taking the outside air, filtering it before it goes into the cabin. I was driving home the other day, and they were cutting. And just dust everywhere. And years ago, you could really tell whether a vehicle had a cabin air filter and they didn't. Where I really noticed it is because the diesel trucks years ago were notorious for a lot more smoke, or putting out smoke, than what they do now, unless somebody's taken them and programmed them or done something with them.
Yep.
But you would be behind a diesel truck, and they'd get on the gas, and a big old puff of black smoke had come out, and you'd run through there, and it would, if you could smell it real bad,
it'll get into the cabin.
But if they had a cabin air filter, the likelihood of it, it would definitely diminish the amount of smell of it. And so that was a good identifier years ago. But so anyways, those filters, they take all that dust and debris, and they get stuck on that filter. And I don't know how many times I've been involved of customer having concern of low flow or low air movement through a vent.
Yeah.
And the reason for that
is the cabin air filter's clogged. So I actually wanted to give another example. A lot of us have homes that have filters for our AC and our heating units that we get reminded by our thermostat to change the filters. Our vehicles don't have that. And so it's practically the same thing. If you've ever replaced your home filter at your house and it is absolutely awful, that's basically what's happening with the vehicle, except for I think the vehicle goes through a lot more harsher environments in certain cases than your home does. So That's a very important thing. I've seen them to the point where they were so clogged that the airflow out of the AC or heating system was so poor that they thought a serious problem was there, but it ended up just being a cabin air filter. But it makes those components work twice as hard when they are clogged.
Sure.
So
Sure. Yeah. If you're not moving the right across air across that, evaporator in the car, it's just not doing its job effectively. But then also you're allowing potentially dirt and debris to get in there and plug up something other than the filter if it goes too far. So I got a caller coming through here. We're going to get them patched through and plugged in, but Gary is going to be joining us. So let's go to the phones and talk to Gary. Gary, you're on live with Under the Hood. Go ahead.
This is Greg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Greg. I apologize about that. Greg, how are you this morning?
I'm fine.
Good deal. Good deal. You're on live with Under the Hood. So you got a question for us, or you're just calling to get a package?
I just was calling for the free package.
Well,
there you go.
Well, okay. So
hey, I do have a question.
Okay.
Your EcoBoost now that all have turbos, you were talking about seeing the smoke from the diesel. Back in the 70s when they first were putting turbo.
Still with us? Okay.
Oh, there you are.
You
lost you for a second.
Out for just a second. So back in the 70s when they were putting turbos, and then that's when we lost you there.
Turbos on tractors, they wanted you to cool it down so it didn't cook the oil in the turbo when you shut it off hot. Do they recommend that in your EcoBoost today or not?
Yeah, so these EcoBoost, they've started out in 2009 with the EcoBoost from these vehicles, and I tell you, I can probably count the number of failures or catastrophic issues with these engines has been very, very minimal. They've been very, very tough from that side of things, and it is still hard to this day to convince a consumer that when they're purchasing or looking at an F-150 to not want that V8 and to be okay with that V6. But that V6 can just about outdo everything that V8 has to offer, other than the sound.
Yeah, just about. No, it does.
Other than the audible qualities of it. But, the manufacturers have done a great job with these turbos. And now, years ago, back then, they were just cooled by oil. Now they have coolant and oil both going to them or through them.
I see.
And so that's what's aided the ability to do what they need to do and stay cool. And
they have an intercooler. And I actually remember whenever there was a time to where they did actually modify. They actually had to put like air dams in the front of the truck to actually get the air going to flow into it. So but they have done. I've actually had 3 F-150s in the past, or since I've worked here anyways. And the EcoBoost is the only engine I will get in an F-150, 3.5 liters, and they are so awesome. I love them, and I can't tell somebody that's so into getting a V8, I need to get a V8, and I'm just like, just drive the 3.5, and it may change your mind. Yeah, it's the performance that these, and we've got them, the EcoBoost portion of it, they've obviously adopted it, and there's just about every vehicle model line. Well, every vehicle model line, there's a version of that engine that of the EcoBoost or the turboed vehicle in every one of them for sure. So, but yeah, they've come a long way with that. And even turbo failure, I mean, it is something that you see from time to time, but it is not. It's not very common.
It's not a very common thing for that to happen. And what I will say is that the routine maintenance is the key to even make that failure rate way less. Because the smaller passages providing oil to these turbos and to the cam phasers and for the timing and everything like that is good clean fluids, whether it's oil, coolant, transmission fluid. That's the key to making these things run as long as you want them to run. So great question there. So now I got a question for you is you called in, you received the package that we'll mail out to you, and then we're going to add a $50 to that. What are you going to do with your $50?
Yeah.
Probably bring my Mustang in for work.
There you go.
Okay, well there you go. What's the Mustang need?
Nothing right now. I just had
Okay.
you guys just put brakes on it.
Very good. Well, good deal. Well, great. Appreciate the call, and we'll get that package sent out to you and include that $50 gift card in there. So, again,
Okay,
thanks
you.
for calling. So.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
So got Greg, got him a $50 gift card as well as the normal package. So thanks for that call. And yeah, the the turbos on these vehicles, and like I said, there's just about, well, every model line has a version of an EcoBoost now. And you know, it's all about routine maintenance to keep that thing going as many miles as you want to drive.
I would only buy an EcoBoost, I think. I mean, that's just my preference, but that's my favorite. I whenever I had that 3.5, I loved it, and I ended up downsizing and getting something else. That's why I don't have it anymore. But God, I love that thing would get up and go. It shocked me the very first time I drove one how much power they have, and then they're fuel efficient. But gosh darn it, they are just that's an awesome engine that Ford came out with.
So we talked about this morning, talked about tires, purchasing those from us and all the different options that we have on tires. Then we also talked about cabin air filters as well. The next thing that was on my list was nitrogen for those tires.
Yes.
When you get into this time of year and your temperatures are going to fluctuate so much like they do. I mean, we woke up this morning. I don't know remember exactly what the temperature was outside this morning, but it may go from a 50-degree day to an 80-degree day, and maybe even more than that. That's a lot of change. So let's talk about kind of nitrogen and your experience with that, and why we use nitrogen.
Yeah, with nitrogen, especially pure nitrogen, whenever you got that in your tires, which I know Phil whenever he does it, he bought machines to get the most amount of nitrogen in your vehicle because it's extremely difficult to get 100%. Most of the air is nitrogen that we breathe. That's very true. But the higher percentage, especially when you live in Kansas, the change of temperature is going to drop the pressure in those tires overnight, especially when now in Kansas, we're going to have days that are going to be in the 80s, and at night it's going to go down to the 50s. So you're going to have a tire light when you get in your car the next morning.
Well, or, from a tire light standpoint, but then also just the standpoint of the premature wear that it puts on the tire when you have that much fluctuation in pressure.
Very
and
true.
It's so the typical tire pressure is right around, it's kind of changing now with the lower profile of tires, but years ago it used to be about 32. 32 to 35 psi was kind of the placard tire pressure for vehicles. And years ago, or with that and compressed air, you may, from a tire being cool and lower ambient temperatures to a tire that's warmed up rolling down the road after some driving, there may be 5 or 6 psi difference in that tire. And you think about a balloon, and as you're blowing it up, and what the difference 2 or 3 breaths in that balloon make, and then the circumference of that balloon. Well, it's no difference in that than what it does to the tire. It changes the dynamics of that tire and how it wears. And so then the center of the tire potentially would wear out sooner, or the edges are going to wear out sooner, depending upon what that fluctuation in pressure is. And here's the biggest thing with that for me is that these tires aren't cheap anymore.
No, they are very expensive.
Years ago, we were dealing with 13, 14, 15-inch tires that you could, for $400, you could have a set of tires on the car and roll down the road and everything be good to go. But man, you can get $1,200-1,500 wrapped up in a set of tires now pretty dang easy. When you get into some of these 19s, 20s, 21s, that we're dealing with now, that's an investment.
Yes.
And I want that investment to last as long as I can. And not only that, just the quality through that entire investment, as far as how it's wearing, that's going to affect the noise level of the vehicle. Are you listening to a chopped up tire the whole second half of the life of the tire, or is it nice and smooth and rides quiet? From that side,
the biggest thing for me, or the biggest thing with me, is I get a lot of people that will come in and they actually will put the air pressure in the tires, what it says on the side of the tire and not what is on the vehicle.
Yeah.
That is the incorrect thing to do. There is a placard on the inside driver door that tells what your tire pressures need to be. Those tires are not made exactly for that vehicle. They're made for that particular size, but the vehicle is what dictates what your tire pressures need to be. And that is extremely, extremely important, especially when Josh talks about the overall wear of a tire, things like that. It's very, very important to follow that placard and not the side of the tire. So that's a big thing with me.
I would say out of all the vehicle maintenance needs and should be requirements, I guess, that's probably the one of probably quite a few, but the most easiest overlooked maintenance things that somebody could do.
I agree.
Years ago, when obviously tires weren't made like they are today. You used to get maybe 20, 30,000 miles out of a set of tires, and now you can easily get 80, 100,000 out of a set of tires. But I mean, people check tire pressures. They
used to check tire pressures.
At filling stations, you'd fill up with gas, you'd check your tires, you'd top off all the fluids. People don't do that anymore.
No, now we're spoiled. We have these sensors in these tires to tell us if there's something wrong.
And then the other side of that is the profile of the tires. I mean, you used to have a sidewall that was a mile long, and now you don't have that. And so it's hard to tell if a tire's low in the current technology or current tire sizing that we have. They're pretty thin sidewalls or pretty stiff sidewalls, and to be able to look at a tire and tell if it's visually low is
next to impossible.
Next to impossible. But you did bring up a great point with the tire pressure monitoring systems and being able to kind of scroll through the dash and see what those tire pressures are for sure. So, but nitrogen's a huge benefit in the fluctuation of pressures with temperatures. It's doing that. Nitrogen's made up of larger molecules that than compressed air, so it doesn't leak as fast or seep as fast. I mean, you'll still lose some, but it's going to take a longer amount of time to be able to do that. It's not as susceptible to the temperature change, so you're going to get a consistent pressure throughout the life of the tire. And the benefits of having a consistent pressure throughout the life of the tire, having that nitrogen in there, is fuel economy. Right off the bat. You're going to get better fuel economy just by having a consistent pressure for that tire and not having those fluctuations. The other is just longevity of the tire. It's going to wear a lot longer as well. So
it's really, really difficult. Well, I guess it's easier for us to see whenever the temperatures drop and to go out and you got a tire light on and things like that. But what you don't think about is whenever that tire is actually being used and rolling, there obviously is transfer of heat. So if you have nitrogen in your tires, it's also still going to affect the overall wear of the tire that way, because it's going to do the exact same thing when the tire is hot. So it's going to be more consistent, and it's not going to change for that as well. So just overall, much a better way to inflate your tires.
The heat aspect of it, if you've got a cooler tire, it's going to perform better. Your stopping distance is all affected by that. And I mean, you're talking pretty minuscule differences, but it's enough to make a difference that it's a benefit in the long run for sure. So, hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here and give us a call. So got a package that we give away for the works, oil change, tire rotation. Then we do a multi-point inspection, check over to the vehicle, making sure everything's squared away. Also do complete nitrogen for the tires, which we've been talking about, as well as $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink with us. And then a BG products package, which is going to consist of a can of MOA or motor oil additive, and then CF5 for the fuel system. So let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673. So, Scotty, what's next on your list there?
Next on my list is going to be the cooling systems of your vehicle, or coolant or antifreeze, I guess you could call it in the winter. That's something that is routinely checked whenever you get a vehicle serviced here at Mel Hambelton Ford. We have pH strips to test, I guess, a couple of the properties, the pH, the freeze point, and things like that. And I don't believe so, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I still don't believe there is an actual maintenance interval for this particular service on most vehicles out there.
Yeah, there's not. I was at a Ford meeting here this last week, and we were actually talking about maintenance intervals on fluids, just in general, and specifically, it came up, and over the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of manufacturers add brake fluid services to their owner's manuals, which is something years ago that you never did see. A lot of foreign manufacturers have adopted that many years ago, for sure. And you're starting to see a lot more of the U.S. manufacturers get that in there. But the coolant is something that is so
critical.
It is very critical. But here's the thing with coolant, and from the manufacturer side of things, they don't really put it in any maintenance guides. And I guess here's why: is because everybody has a very durable coolant, in the aspect of it's going to last a long time against freeze point. So they're going to be able to fill up a cooling system, and it's going to work for many, many years, and you're not going to have to worry about things freezing up like it did years ago, or vehicles that had green coolant, and really every couple of years you were concerned about the freeze point of the coolant. But what they don't tell you is the concern with the coolant is the additive package in the coolant, that is the pH level, which is basically an acidity level. And so the coolant itself, although it's good on the freeze point side of things, the acidity level is what a consumer really needs to be worried about with their coolant at this point in time. Now, an acidity level point is, as a consumer, if it's off, what does it matter? Well, if it's not right on the high end of the spectrum, so if it's too acidy, then you're going to get components that get ate up.
Yeah.
So your water pumps, your heater cores, all your internal lubricated stuff from coolant, that's the negative on that side. Now, if it's too low, what happens? Well, then rust will actually start to occur, or corrosion will occur. And we talk about the turbos and things like that earlier in the show. You get corrosion in a cooling system, and you have all these fine passages that coolant needs to flow through. That's the negative side of that. And so, unless you're checking for that, it's too little too late. If you're high on the acidity side of things, and we've ate components up, or low on it, and now they're corroded up, that's something that's very hard to reverse.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important, as a routine maintenance, to check that pH level of that coolant to identify what that is and be able to correct it at an early stage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of an easy predictor. If you have a situation to where, and I know probably most of us have at least had it once, to where our water pump starts leaking or something like that. There's a good possibility that the underlying issue was actually the coolant eating away at the water pump seal or something like that. I mean, it's a possibility, but it's always best to have your cooling system at tip-top shape, so you prevent a catastrophic failure of some kind. Sure. That's very, very important.
And I would even go, one step further. Again, the manufacturers do an excellent job of making these vehicles more reliable, more dependable. And the standard repair of years ago is really kind of something that is going away, kind of a thing of the past. And when I say that, I mean like, a starter or an alternator, or a water pump, things like that. It's just not something that it does happen, and we see it, but it's not as common as what it used to be. Now, with that, the level of complexity for those components are a lot further. In other words, it's not something that happens every time. So just its location, and what I mean by that is, water pumps now. Water pumps are something that used to be belt driven, pretty much on the front of the motor. Now, as we go to these hybrids, and we go to different styles of engines and designs, the manufacturers are having to come up with different ways to operate these components or drive these components, trying to fit everything into a vehicle. They're looking at, different locations. Something driven off of a drive belt takes fuel economy, takes horsepower to be able to do that. And so like on the water pumps, they've put them in with the timing belts or timing chains in a lot of vehicles now. Again, no problem with it. Great. Problem with it, in some cases, your motor removal to put on a water pump.
Yeah.
And so just based on that component location and what you would have to do, man, maintenance on the cooling system sure seems like a much cheaper and better option than having to replace a water pump on a vehicle. I mean, you can get at least a couple of days wrapped up in labor and having to pull an engine to replace a water pump in some cases.
100% of the time. I've done quite a few of them over the years, and granted, they were higher mileage vehicles and things like that. But whenever you have like an Edge or something like that ends up having a water pump removal, it is a deal all in itself. It's normally 2 days where the vehicle's down, and it's it's a job.
So, and then the other side of it, a reaction from a customer when you say, you need a water pump and it's going to be this much.
Yeah, that's like tough. But Josh is exactly right. The best possible case scenario is obviously keeping your cooling system in tip-top shape so it could prevent that from happening. I'm not going to say it's 100% of the time, but there's definitely a correlation for the better your cooling system is in as far as quality and the pH level and freeze point, things like that. You're going to increase the longevity of those parts, and that's very, very you're conserving money by just servicing them when it's supposed to. And I tell people check their coolant every year at least. That's the most important thing, and we do it every oil change. So that's something that we try to give you as much of a heads up as possible, so that way you're given a little bit of a heads up as opposed to just dropping it on you right then and there. So very important thing for me.
Very, very much so. Well, hey, it's a call-in show, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us, and let's talk vehicle maintenance, or like I said, want to talk new products or Mel Hambelton Ford Racing. We've got the 3GA teams up in Hayes for a show last night, and got a text from him just a little bit ago. Sounded like so they got second last night, qualified for tonight's A feature, and then they get a redraw for 4th, 5th, or 6th position to start, which is great. So sounds like got evening, so super excited about that. Hope those guys do good and come home with a win. Season's kind of starting to wind down. From that side of things. So, and then we're at Bar to Bar. I think it's today and tomorrow out there at the motocross track over here.
You don't know your own schedule?
Yeah, I know we're there. I'm just trying to remember if it was a 2-day show. I'm pretty sure it's a 2-day show for those guys up there. And then next week, man, we got a lot going on. So we're going to be in Wheatland, Missouri, out there at the Lucas Oil. So we've got a crew going up there. Practice is on Monday, and then it's they race Tuesday through Saturday up there. So got a pretty intense show up there. Got a couple of crew going up there on Monday, and then we'll do a switch out on Thursday and restock some supplies and all that stuff. So going to be busy next couple of weeks here for MH Ford Racing. Everybody's trying to get their last couple races of the season in and get it going. But hey, if you need any racing parts, nitrous, fuel, we've got it all right inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford. So, and then we're sponsoring a car show over here at the church just across the street from us at 135th and Kellogg, and that's going to be today. It was up until I think 5 o'clock over there, and so they typically have a great turnout for those guys over there. But if you're looking to get out to a car show, 135th and Kellogg at the church over here, and come see some old cars or classic cars, and it looks like it's going to be a great day weather-wise for a
Yeah,
car show for
it's
sure.
going to be
So,
gorgeous. I kind of want to put you on the spot and ask
Okay.
you a question. So
All right.
we have this kind of funny joke that we have between the service manager David Gray and you. If you had to pick an older car to soup up real nice and make it perfect, or a brand new nice new Mustang or whatever car, your dream car, what would you rather have?
Oh man. Well, it'd be a new car. Yeah, it'd be a new car down, hands down. So David has a an infatuation with the Chevelle, and I love the Chevelle, and I think it's great. I just, man, I can go to a car show and I can walk around and I can truly, really appreciate the cars and the time and effort that these people have put into them to get them there. And, you know, I can appreciate it by far, but for me to tackle a project like that, I know what the time and effort is that they had to put into it, and the headaches that went into it, and then the other side of it. And I've teased David about this all the time is that, oh yeah, I got a budget of this and I'm going to do this car for this. Well, when you actually get down to the nuts and bolts of it, the budget was blown a quarter away into the build. And then the other side of it, like it would just never be complete. It would never be what I thought it should be or what I wanted it to be. They'd come up with a new product design or something that was better that I thought I had to have. And then, I tease him about this all the time, but okay, now I've finally got it to where I want it. And I go drive it down the road and it's still 50, 60-year-old car.
Yeah.
Like there's wind noises and water leaks and just the feature comforts of, of the modern thing. And so, yeah, I razz him about that all the time. I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that. It's just not me. I would much rather get a new GT or, one of the GT 500s or something like that and just be able to hop in that thing and
just go.
You've got 700 plus horsepower. You've got climate control. You can hop in it and go from here to wherever you want to go. And I'm not saying couldn't be issues with that too, because if you drive them hard, something's gonna break.
That's right.
So
I just think it's kind of fun because we have great relationships with our coworkers in here, and it's always really funny when these guys get on this conversation. And the other thing is I think I'm on Josh's side with this because of the safety stuff that they've come out with to protect the driver and the passenger and all that other stuff. There's lots of really cool things. And so I'm gonna take the new car, I think, too, even though I have this infatuation with the older cars. They're beautiful.
So now old car, Buick Grand National, I've always wanted one of those, or thought that, man, it'd be really cool to have one of those. And again, and I think my main reason for that is because at the time, I think it was about 82 to 86 is when they made them. But when they came out, they were just the technology that went in them. It was a V6 turboed motor, and the advancements in technology that they put in that car for the time, it was industry leading, I guess, from that side. So and everybody's got their old car.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. I think mine has switched recently. I think mine's Eleanor now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think initially it was like it was a 1969 Dodge Charger. I wanted the General Lee. I thought that would be kind of cool to have.
Yeah,
but
there's a long list for both of those.
Yeah.
you'll have to get on that list. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us this week, and thanks for the phone call that we got and the comments on the chat side of things. But I'm going to thank the sponsors here that allow us to perform this show each and every week, and that's going to be so Big Corner Creative. So for all your marketing and advertising needs, anything social media, traditional media, they do race car wraps, window wraps, window tinting, any type of marketing, advertising. Need a website design, those guys can help you out with that. As they say, just Google us. Then we've got BG products. So all the great preventative maintenance items, excuse me, that we have right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford. Those guys, man, they're industry leading. You talk about the advancements in technology and what they put into their products, or efforts that they put into their products to make sure that you as a consumer are getting, the absolute best that you can get. So
It's crazy.
we really appreciate the partnership that we have with those guys, and again, the products that they offer to us for us to have available to our customers. So BG products, and then Go to Rent. So if you're looking for a 12 or 15 passenger vehicle, hate to say this, Thanksgiving will be here before we know it, and then Christmas right after that. So if you're looking for something larger to get to grandma's house, or you got a trip coming up and you need a larger vehicle for, Stan's got a great fleet of vehicles right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford. So everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you next Saturday.